All right, now we've got these all the bolts are tightened up, 25 foot-pounds, crisscross pattern, etc. I want to get this buttoned up because I don't want to have any kind of crap in there. So we got our gasket here. You can see the part number. All right. Of course, it's made in Taiwan. Everything's made in Taiwan nowadays. A little oil. Okay. Down there. Okay. I'm going to take the shaft, which is right here. This is all opposite. I'm just going to load it right down in there. Okay. And she just drops right in. It can only really go in one way. This here is upside down, so I'll just turn it upside down like this, and it goes right in here, like so. Okay, and it also only goes one way. There we go. Come on, baby. There we go. Boom. A little bit more oil. Give it a squeeze. That's a, what is that? That's an eagle oiler, yeah. Okay. Get a little bit of that oil. Take this here O-ring out. All one-handed, magical. That O-ring, get it right in there. Bloot. Give it. She actually just right up around the edge. Just get a little bit of oil right around the edge. That's good. Okay, that cover is marked the way it goes on. There we go. That's the way it should go. Of course, I got a magnetic tray right up here with all the screws for it right there. We'll come right back down here. Yeah, I guess it's really handy to have a machine that you plan on rebuilding sitting right there that happens to be made out of iron, so that magnetic things stick to it. Very, very handy. All right, and there we go. We should just line those up a little bit. I don't want them to put that cover on right back where it was. And I'll button these up, and then we'll adjust that governor in just a second. Okay, so now we got the cover buttoned up. That way we can't get any more crap in it. Okay, now the throttle here, okay, it holds itself open at wide open throttle, okay? That's the wide open throttle. Now this will slip down and allow it to come further, okay? What we don't want to do is we don't want to let that spring back. Okay, now, again, this here governor shaft needs to go clockwise. Okay, we need to make sure that this does not loosen up, and we need to make sure that this goes clockwise, and we can see here that it is. Okay, and I can turn it back, and you can hear it make that contact. And it's making contact on top of the governor right underneath that hump right there. So we need to hold this in position. Okay, we need to make sure that the throttle is at full throttle, which it is. Okay, and it's sprung back at full throttle. Okay, I want to one more thing here. See if I can do this all while holding a camera. Okay, actually I'm going to loosen this up, and I'm going to turn this way, so that I can put some pressure on it. Okay, I'm going to put light pressure on that and try and hold the camera while I'm holding light pressure on that. Okay, and make sure that the mechanism reach down in here and make sure it's solid. Make sure that the spring is pulling all the tension, and it is. So all of those springs are pulling the tension, and I have not hard tension, but light tension on that. And that screw is a little loose. We're just going to tighten it up. I'm going to try and do this without hurting myself. And of course, ratchet jacked off. Really hard to do this while I'm looking through a phone. I should get a better setup, but I'm sure I got a better camera somewhere here in his junk pile, but there we go. She's snug now. All right. I'll just double check that. Good. Double check this. Make sure that that's in there good. Fuck. All right, that's annoying. Yeah, that's good and snug. She's not going nowhere. Yeah, and basically, when it governs down, because there's fly weights down in here that push the governor shaft towards idle. Okay, the idea is this lays off. This releases spring tension here when the throttle cable connects here, and pushes it when you have it at low throttle. Okay, and it releases that spring in there to allow this shaft to turn. Okay, and what happens is that the governor fly weights in there push on that plate that is now resting right on top of the assembly, and it pushes the throttle closed. Okay, and the spring pressure, it pushes against that spring pressure. Okay, when you crank up the throttle, it adds that spring pressure and pulls it open, overriding that. Okay, now granted, if the motor overspeeds, the fly weights are enough to push against that and put this back where it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? So it'll push harder, pushing back against and basically de-throttling the motor. So, but with the governor in the down position, that's fully collapsed, that's maximum throttle. Okay, and like I said, if the motor overspeeds, the fly weights will go out and force it down throttle. Okay, and that's what it's supposed to do. So that's idle. Okay, and that's maximum throttle. Okay, and again, there's no direct connected throttle. It's all driven by spring pressure. Okay, and you don't change your idle speed really by touching any of this. Your idle speed's out here. There is a different springs. You can change the springs to change, the low throttle. The low throttle, basically the governed idle speed. You can change the springs. Briggs has different springs to change that governed idle speed. But there is an idle stop on the carb itself to set the bottom. And this just adds enough spring tension to keep it wide open and basically overcome the governed, the turn coming out of the governor. Again, if you got this wrong, your throttle control won't work, and the motor will grenade anyway, because the governor under here, if it's not held in place by this shaft, will come flying apart, and all those pieces will fly around the inside of the engine, and she go boom. All right, so that's it. We got this bottom end buttoned up. These are the most important parts of this. The rest of it's just putting it back together and getting it back on the tractor. The oil leak is officially fixed. And that's pretty much that. I've got some new seals here and there, but you know, that seal's been replaced, that seal's been replaced. The governor seal has been replaced. Okay, we've got new governor seal there. And of course, the brand new gasket. So this case is sealed up. So hopefully she don't leak no more. And again, we found a bad alternator before. We got the brand new alternator, so we'll put that back in. We'll flip this motor over and get it on a pseudo stand, wood blocks, and finish up the front of the motor, put all the shields back on. Yeah, they went in the parts cleaner too. I'll put the flywheel back on after we get the alternator in, and then put it back in the tractor and fire it up. I've also got the tune-up kit, so you know, it'll get new plugs, fresh oil, all of that crap. That's it. Bottom end's buttoned up. And got the alternator on. I figured out which one was the right one, so that's that. Alright. Off camera I had kept the valve covers loose. Once I get the flywheel on, I'm going to check the valves while I got it this far down, put new valve cover gaskets in. These valve cover gaskets were all gooped up with RTV, so they could have been leaking as well. They weren't the major source of the leak, but, you know, like I said, I might as well button up everything. And again, this is clocked correctly. The plate goes on here, but we get the starter bolted on, then the plate can go on, then we can put the flywheel on, and then we can probably just put the rest of the tins on. Once I have the flywheel on, I'll be able to turn the motor over and check the valve lash. I'll flip the motor over again once I have the flywheel on as well, because I don't want to be banging it around on this. But once I have the covers on, I'll actually have a way to support it a bit, and I'll check that crankshaft end play, because it does have crankshaft end play, but we just need to work out exactly how much that is, and it needs to be between 3 and 30. Fingers crossed, 15. Fingers crossed. All right, we're going to keep going. Okay. All right, the parts cleaner. This ain't so cruddy. It's just a little bit cruddy. Some of the oil slime that was on it. That had a lot of oil slime on it. We're just getting started. We haven't even started cleaning. We'll get these cleaned up. Pop them on the motor and go with the next part. All nice and clean. Almost looks new. So that pan cleaned up real nice. Now I got to get the flywheel on and then put the side shrouds on. The side shrouds are rough. You'll see. That's that. And there's the flywheel. It's not really slimy. It's got some crap on the inside. Take a look at the inside real quick. So it's got a good coating of oil on the inside. All that slime. So we'll get that off of there. The key's still in there, but that debris got up in there, and then an oil made it stick fast to the inside of the flywheel. We'll get that up out of there. I mean, it's rusty, but that don't hurt the running of it none. So we'll just clean the slime off of it and slap it back on there. That's knocked on there. Again, we ain't gonna clean off that rust. All we did was clean off the slime. And gear engage is just fine. Should just kick right in. So Bendix is good. She turns. Now I can turn the motor. So, and that's buttoned up. So she's good to go. I'm gonna put on the fan and a little shroud, and then the tins on both sides. They're still really, really slimy, so we got to clean those first. And that's that.